You may have heard that the key to great sounding tracks is a solid signal chain. But if you're just getting started with recording and mixing, you might be wondering what that actually means. What does a good signal chain look like, and where do you start with building your own? In simple terms, a signal chain is made up of every piece of hardware and software that your audio passes through and ultimately shapes the sound of the final result. Any signal chain starts with a source. That could be your voice, a guitar or drum set, or really any sound that you want to record or mix. The rest of the chain depends on that source. For example, a signal chain for recording vocals would include the microphone that the singer is using, the preamp or audio interface that the microphone is plugged into, like an Apollo or Volt, the recording software running on your computer, and any software effects used to change the sound after recording. A signal chain for guitar might also include the guitarist's pedals, amplifier, and the mic used on the speaker cabinet, as well as the audio interface, recording software, and any software effects. Now, any signal chain is only as strong as its weakest link, and any individual piece can have a huge impact on the final sound. So it's important to treat each piece equally when building your own chains. Choosing the right microphone, audio interface, or software effects can be just as important as the source itself. Let's zoom in on that last part of the chain. To me, this is where things really get fun, because you essentially have endless possibilities for shaping your tracks and finding your own unique sounds. Software effects are known as plugins, and are accessed within your recording software, like Luna, Pro Tools, Logic, Ableton, and others. Some plugins come pre-installed with your recording software, which are known as stock plugins, and others must be installed separately, like any of the UAD plugins that we make. These plugins generally fall into common categories like equalizers, compressors, delays, and reverbs, but can also include things like emulations of mic preamps, guitar amps, and analog tape machines. Now, the best plugin chain for any given track ultimately depends on the sound that you're going for, but things like how the source was recorded, what problems need to be fixed, and the genre and arrangement of the song all play a role. For example, a basic plugin chain for vocals might include a preamp like the UA610B for analog tube tone and color, a compressor like the LA2A to control volume and add presence, and a reverb like Capital Chambers to give a sense of space and depth. If you want to change the tone further, maybe to make it brighter or less boomy, you might also add an EQ like the Pultec EQ P1A. Just keep in mind that the order of the plugins will change the overall sound, sometimes pretty dramatically. For example, placing the EQ before the compressor will sound different than placing it after. Now here's where you can experiment and really make the sound your own. By making small tweaks to this basic chain, I can completely change the sound and vibe. I can replace that LA2A with an 1176 for a grittier, in-your-face kind of sound, or replace Capital Chambers with the Galaxy Tape Echo for psychedelic spring reverb and spacey delay. I might want to use the Oxide Tape Recorder plugin at the end of my chain to add some analog tape harmonics, or I can even run my vocals through a guitar amp for a blown-out, distorted sound. There's really no right or wrong as long as it sounds good and works for your track. Now, to get some ideas for building your own chains, head over to uaudio.com/blog, where you'll find breakdowns of real recording and mixing chains that pros actually use, as well as plugin tutorials, artist interviews, and more. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.